after 2 years of intense debate, recrimination, angry public demonstrations, the Employment Tribunal, brought by nurse Sandie Peggie, finally issued its report. It did rule that Sandie Peggie had been harassed by her employer, NHS Fife, after she'd complained about a trans colleague of hers, Dr. Beth Upton, who had been using a female changing room at the A&E ward at the Victoria Hospital at Kirkcaldy. Now, I should add, this was a partial victory for Sandie Peggie. The tribunal did dismiss her claims of victimisation as well as her claims against Dr. Upton personally. So, well, absolutely questions for NHS Fife to answer, as opposition politicians stood up in Holyrood and said yesterday. And I should also add that all parties now have 2 weeks to consider the tribunal's ruling. So we could see an appeal on part of it, all of it, I don't know. But with a subject as contentious as this, my question is, given that no one seemed particularly happy with what the tribunal said, Mark, I'll come to you first. Where on earth do we go from here?
Two things that I think should spring forth from this. First off, the entire leadership of NHS Fife should hang their head in shame, and they should already be gone for how they treated this nurse who had 30 years' experience. They harassed her, and the findings of the tribunal were quite clear on that. And what was also quite clear is they did not take her legitimate concerns clearly. They didn't take them seriously. They were a disgrace. How they handled themselves throughout the tribunal, they were a disgrace. There are certain individuals within NHS Fife who I reckon have behaved unlawfully in how they've dealt with this. They should quit. And if they didn't quit, John Swinney, the First Minister, should be forcing them to resign. Now, no mucking about. Second thing that should come for this is that John Swinney should unequivocally and without any weasel words declare that women, biological women, are entitled to same-sex spaces, because it's not only what the Supreme Court ruled is the law, it's also the right thing politically to do. Now, that is what should spring forth from this right away. And what follows from that, I don't know. There probably will be an appeal, by the way, because some of the judgment is perverse in its lunacy. I mean, the judgment by this guy Kemp, some of it looks like it's made up. Some of it looks like he's just ignored the law of the land. Some of it looks like he just didn't like Sandie Peggie, and some, because he didn't like the cut of her jib. So I think there will be an appeal, but that's a kind of thornier legal issue that will undoubtedly still keep going. And another thing, I know that Sandie Peggie is also suing her trade union. They were a disgrace in how they refused to help Sandie Peggie.
And which union was this?
It was the Royal College of Nurses.
Okay, right.
She's suing them, and rightly so, as somebody who's a trade unionist and has been all her life, to abandon one of your members like that, utter disgrace. So they ought to be taking a really close look at themselves as well.